So, Jason, 5G is rolling out in earnest right now in the US and a lot of key global markets. There's a lot of architectural differences in this next generation of the network. So I'm kind of curious, based on your interaction with your operator customers, what you're seeing in terms of architecture and what type of challenges that might present.
We're seeing a lot of small cell, a lot of macro, and a lot of in-building coming about with our customer base. It's ever changing. It's always on the move, and we have to adapt to that.
And Danny, I know EXFO, you guys are engaged all over the world with different operators, and same question really. What are some of the challenges with this new 5G architecture that are coming up, particularly from that network assurance perspective?
Sure. So we see the scale of deployment, so the cell densification, we're talking about a lot of deployments. So we're talking about 10 and 20 times more the cell site that we have today. So the fiber deployment is a big challenge, and in terms of service assurance, for example, fiber monitoring, it will be really important to make sure that the network is ready for that 5G transformation.
So you mentioned two things there, and I want to kind of take them separately, but that first one is this idea of densification. 5G's billed as more throughput, lower latency, better reliability, better coverage. And to do that, you got to deploy a lot of small cells, particularly if you're taking a millimeter wave focus play. So as your operator customers go through that deployment process, what are some of the hurdles that they're coming up against that they're looking to EXFO to help them get over?
All right. Having visited a couple of 5G sites, what we're seeing from the beginning is that the 5G deployments are downlink only, which means the uplink are using the 4G network. So the first problems that we're seeing a lot is that when a customer is complaining that they don't have those 5G services, it's because there's an issue with the RF interference PIM on the 4G network. So what's really important in the first deployments of 5G is to test the 4G network and the 5G network at the same time.
So 5G, it's this whole different thing. We're all familiar with the macro tower paradigm. It's far away, it's in the distance. It's not really that impactful, but with 5G, to get to this reliability, coverage, latency, and throughput, you got to come down to street level and build out these small cells. As you guys engage with municipalities and operators across the country, what are some of the challenges that keep coming up?
Some of the challenges, from our standpoint is with the customer always wanting to be number one. We encounter these challenges of jurisdictional issues, permitting right away, lane closures, equipment delays, you name it. It's another factor is the resources. Is getting guys up to speed of what we're doing, the technology that we're dealing with, the training, the testing, all that. It's all encompassing. It's things that we deal with.
So we talked a little bit about small cell densification and its role in 5G deployments. You also mentioned fiber. As we see these new architectures, as we see this level of densification, we're getting deeper and deeper fiber in these networks. And I'm just kind of curious what that looks like from a testing perspective.
Sure. So what we're seeing with those new 5G deployment, what's happening is basically because of those new requirements, so lower latency, higher throughputs, and because what 5G bring with eCPRI and new rates at 10 and 25 gig, basically that's making is that the first site that we're seeing those installations, they're all faulty from the beginning. So what will be really, really important is to start testing from the beginning and to get a result that is right from the first time we test. So what is going to be really important, there's many steps in terms of testing. We use at EXFO our 3-step process. So our fiber inspection, fiber characterization, and our eCPRI or CPRI testing. So it's important to do those tests in order not to delay the 5G monetization. Basically, in order to make sure that your 5G rollout will be profitable and good from the beginning.
I'm kind of curious, Danny, what you guys have seen on the validation front out here, particularly as it relates to the site-by-site basis. Time is of the essence, so what's EXFO doing to help these crews move fast?
Yeah, so basically field technicians, contractors, and strategic partners like NIS, they require automated and intelligent tools to help them troubleshoot and test their site to get a first time right result. Basically what we do is that we offer them those solutions in terms to help them save a lot of time. And in terms of time saving, it could go up to 90% of time saving from troubleshooting the issue from the beginning. Also, on top of that, with the network transforming to 5G, it's going to be really important to be efficient in terms of testing, as Jason was saying earlier. So that's why tools like that, while testing their 5G and their 4G network, will make it easier in their network transformation.
Yeah, so Jason, maybe we'll just circle back to that point that Danny made. Validating a site quickly and efficiently is paramount to what your customers want. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing at a field level to make sure that your crews get out to this site one time, turn it up, and it's right.
From the managerial side, it's making sure our crews are efficient, making sure they're trained, making sure they're up to speed on all the technology that we're dealing with, all the procedures, the customer's wants and needs. If we're not doing that, it causes issues on the back end. You can't move on to the next site, the customer's not happy. You have to make sure all these things are in place before you can move on. And with the customer trying to be number one in market, you have to put all that in place.
So given the variability and the complexity that we see here, you're telling me that it's important that you gotta have strong front-end planning, and you gotta have the ability to do very quick validation and testing. Danny, how are you guys enabling that testing and validation step to get 5G out there more quickly?
So as I was saying earlier, most of our tests are a one-button test, and they're intelligent and automated tests. So by doing that and offering that to the field technicians, to contractors, and to our partners, it makes it easier to troubleshoot and have a right result from the first time. So going with their 5G network transformation, it's going to be really important to test from the beginning and making sure that they have clear and clean sites before they bring it live to the customers.
So what are the implications for tower techs? I've heard a little bit about this. The demand with 5G is such that there's not enough trained technicians out there to put all these sites into service. So how do you get around that?
You stay up to date. As cell techs in our world, you have to evolve and you have to adapt to ever changing technology. It's with testing, you have to stay certified. You have to know what you're testing. If you don't, you can get left behind.
And that's a lot of what you guys concentrate on, right? Is not just the testing and the validation, but automating that process, making it easier, quicker, more accurate, right?
That's correct, yeah. That's what we do, and that's what we want to help our partners to do.
Well, it sure is an interesting time in wireless, and I really appreciate you gentlemen taking the time to share your perspective.
Thank you.
you.